the abstract. So the abstract is always the bit, you got the title, and then generally we go to the abstract. And fundamentally, the abstract serves a lot of purposes. And yet, actually, in many ways, it's the bit that we tend to forget about writing. And what I would say is this. If you write a really good abstract, and it's a really clear abstract, it fundamentally helps the reader, and it actually helps people engage with your work, your article. The other thing I would say about an abstract is don't ever try and write an abstract before you have written the whole report. Because, I think sometimes we think, oh, well, we'll write it because it's the first thing to that I'm going to be writing. It's the first thing that somebody reads. It's the last thing you want to write, because the abstract, in essence, is a synopsis of everything else that you have done. It's kind of a reflection on the total piece of work. So when you're putting an abstract together, remember these kind of mantras that are here. It's a short summary. So it might be published work, it might be an assignment, but it's still a short summary. And it serves a lot of purposes. Now, we're talking about word counts here, 150, 250 words. It will depend, for example, on the journal that you're publishing in, or it depends upon what the criteria are for the assignment that you are actually being asked to write for. But generally 150 to 250 words. Anything more than that, really, and you're starting to move away from being a short summary and almost getting kind of a whole new section on the report. So why do we have an abstract? Well, fundamentally, the first thing is it's about allowing the reader to kind of get a feel for what your report is about. It's getting the gist. So they can read the abstract and they can get a sense very, very quickly of why you did the study, what the kind of the background is to the study, how you did the study, what you found in the study, and what you conclude from the study. And so it's kind of just wrapped up very, very quickly. So it becomes very, very important. It does a number of things. One, it means that the reader can go through that and actually decide whether they want to carry on reading the whole paper. But secondly, it's about preparing the reader. So what you're doing is you're kind of setting the reader up. You're setting the paper up. The abstract isn't there just for the sake of having an abstract. The abstract is there because the reader goes through the abstract first, and so it prepares them for the science that is going to follow. It serves a fundamental purpose. It introduces some of the terminology, some of the language, some of the ideas, and some of the design. And the final thing, which I think is very important, is it's about preparing the reader in terms of the key points. It allows them to remember key points. So you can introduce key topics. Now, they're going to be topics or terminology or themes that must appear in the main report itself, but it means that they have got an anchor point. And the way the human mind works is it works better if we've been introduced to something in the first place. So the abstract provides you with that environment to introduce the reader to that something. So it might be language, it might be a new idea or a new area of science. It may be that you're introducing them to the design. It may all be new, but it anchors that for the reader. So why do we really use them? Beyond that, which is clearly quite important, if you move away from the kind of writing a report for your studies, publishing papers, abstracts are used by search engines. So when you go into PubMed or you go into EBSCO and you're typing your search terms in, then clearly one of the things that you can do is you can ask the search engine to look for those terms in an abstract. So abstracts become really important search terms because you're not necessarily going to get all the keywords that are fundamental to your study in the title itself. You don't use a search engine to search the whole paper because you'd find so many key phrases that it'd be almost impossible to search literature. So we tend to search title and abstract. So it's about finding those key terms. it becomes a very crucial tool for researchers, both in terms of identifying studies, but also in terms of getting some understanding of what those studies have been about. So again, you've got to think about putting these together in a very structured manner and an approach that works for you. Now, in the next very quick videos, we're going to go through the different sections of the abstract and why those go together. So what you can do is you can go to each of those videos and go, why do I need to write a background? How should it be constructed? How should I write the method? How should I write results? How should I write the conclusion? So you can dip in and dip out of each of those parts.